And here he comes down the stairs to the basement. Have a seat, man. Nick Shelton's here. How are you?
I am great. Thank you for having me. It's a lovely basement you have.
Well, you don't get to say that often, do you?
No, you don't.
What a lovely, absolutely non-creepy basement you have, Joe. And that might, for an introvert, that might be a little intimidating thing to say. I don't know. I just found out lately, by the way, before I dive into being an introvert, that you also are a veteran. Thank you for your service.
Yes, thank you very much for that. Yeah, Air Force veteran.
And we have so many veterans in our midst that are stackers, Nick. That transition. Can you talk first? And I just thought just before we went live to ask you about this. A lot of people have difficulty transitioning, going from Air Force or any service out. Did you find that transition time was hard for you?
It was very difficult. I know that when I was in, I said, I don't know why people would have any problems, transitioning out. And for me, I was thinking, well, surely not me. I won't have a problem. And yes, it was super difficult because I was used to that structure, and the you're in these really close knit groups of people that you're working with, and this really good structure, so you know exactly where you fit into the structure and exactly what your duties are and your job is. And then when you get out, you don't have that structure or that tight knit group around you anymore, and it is some people deal with it better than others. I did not deal with it very well at all.
So obviously, you found a way as an introvert, though, to kind of create your own map and your own structure. And now you travel the world helping other people get some of that structure. This is a time of year when we need some of that, because as you and I both know, people are starting to visit each other again. We might have a company party this year, where last year we probably didn't. We may be in these social situations, the neighborhood get together, our religious organization, whatever it might be. You're an introvert. Tell me how that feels to you to even be in that situation.
Well, for me, it seems, it's always this little jittery thing that happens, but I always tell people you just have to show up. So I know, well, once I show up, then, things can happen. Even if I don't do anything else, if I only show up, then that's the biggest step, because most people will just say, well, that's a bunch of people I don't know. I just won't go. I'll sit this one out. I'll have an excuse. But I find that if you can just show up, then that's half the battle right there.
I love that advice, especially now, because I know I started going to conferences again. And as a guy who a lot of people think is an extrovert, and I'm totally an introvert. I remember at the first conference I went to I want to say post COVID, but we're not there yet, but you know what I mean? Like after that long dry spell, I sat Nick in my hotel room for an hour for no reason before I could get myself to leave. So show up, I think, is good advice, but you know how hard that is.
Yes, it can be very hard. So one of the tips that I tell people is if you can get pre-known before you go, that helps. So if it's a work environment, then you'll already know a few people there that you can say, oh, those are my people. But if it's some kind of other organization or event, then usually there'll be some kind of social media attached to it. So I'll say, kind of observe the thread of chat that might be happening, and there's going to be maybe 2 or 3 movers and shakers on there that are controlling the conversation. And what you'd want to do is get on there and maybe ask a question or make a comment to whatever they're saying, and then you'll tell them, hey, I will be at the event coming up. I'm looking forward to meeting you. And now you'll say, like, I want to put the face with the name, that sort of thing. And then now when you walk in, you're not walking in totally cold. You're walking in with someone who's expecting to meet you there. And that person, if they're kind of a mover and shaker on the chat, they're probably also pretty heavy in that room as well. So you can walk up to them, they're expecting to meet you, and then they can introduce you to people that they think would be a good fit for you. So it's a really easy way to get pre-known if you don't know anybody.
Boy, that's a great piece of advice. I think for me, as I'm listening to you talk and I'm imagining myself in that situation, sure, it helps me get known and everybody else know that I'm going to be there, but it's much more for my comfort, right? Like as
Right.
an introvert, I feel way more comfortable if I'm not walking into a room of total strangers.
Yes, exactly. And if you do have to walk into a room with total strangers, what I tell people to do is uh, you're looking for people, you're hunting other introverts. You're looking for people who look like you feel. So you're going to be looking around the edges, looking for people that are messing with their phones, checking out what the Kardashians are doing or whatever. And you say, that person needs help. So you go and rescue them. So you go and engage with that person that's trying to blend into the wall. And they are going to be very happy to see you. And it's just much easier than trying to go into the middle of the room and find the most boisterous person. You just say, okay, that person is that they look like I feel. They look like they are trying to not really be here and blend in. I'm going to go over there and talk to them.
Wow, that's fabulous. Because once again, as I'm hearing you talk, I'm thinking of every time I've tried to help somebody else, that gets rid of the pounding in my chest. I'm no longer worried about me. I'm worried about making sure this person feels okay. And that service mentality kind of
Yes.
kind of really helps. You say on your website that you are the five people, and people probably heard this before. You're the five people that you surround yourself with. Are you going in looking for who are these five people? Like if I'm an introvert, you talked about maybe going on the website ahead of time, but if I'm going to the company party event, am I kind of thinking about who those five people are that I want to see ahead of time?
So there's two ways you can think about that. So I don't do that. There are some times where I will say who are the people that are going to be there. So if I know the names, then I'll kind of look on LinkedIn and kind of get a little background information. So if I do meet them, then I can already have some conversation topics prepared. But usually my goal and what I tell other people to do is just try to make one solid connection. It doesn't have to be some one of your top five that you're going to surround yourself with, but it could just be in this. Some people will say, I'm going to try to meet 10 new people while I'm in there. Don't put that pressure on yourself. Just say, I would like to meet one person that I would maybe consider a friend later, somebody that I would like to learn more about and maybe see again at another point. And you might meet more people, but you want to come away with one solid connection. And if you don't, that's fine. But if you do, you have a new friend. Because we're trying to go deep instead of wide. We're trying to make real connections with people, spend a little time, get to know them. If you find someone that you actually connect with, that's great. One person, that's all you need to make it really worth it. And if not, that's okay too.
All of your points so far sound like they revolve around a single phrase that I'll use, which is take some of the pressure off yourself.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So I've got somebody in my sights. I'm in this situation where, for whatever reason, I'm going to talk to them, right?
Yes.
I walk up. There's inevitably, as you know, Nick, maybe the possibility of, and as an introvert, I think about this probably in my head more than I should, but there may be some awkwardness. What
Yes.
types of things can I do to try to get rid of that initial awkwardness in that initial meeting of somebody? Are there phrases that work well? Or are there ways to think about this that work well to make it less awkward if it is a cold meeting?
Well, I would say, yeah, remember that it's not about you, it's about them. So you don't think about yourself and how you are coming across, think about helping that other person. But also, you might be thinking, what am I going to say?
Yes.
And so I like to do, instead of memorizing some phrases that you're going to forget when you get in there, I try to do observational conversations. So I might comment on the temperature, something that somebody's wearing. Hey, nice eyeglass frames. Hey, something about the food. Oh, wow, they have the giant pretzels with the cheese. Last year we had a cheese incident. I didn't think they're going to trust us again this year. Or like, have you been to the men's room yet? They have art. There's actual art in the bathrooms here. This is a fancy place. We should stick our pinkies out when we're sipping our tea or whatever. There's all kinds of. You just look around the room and make a comment about something that's going on in the room or something that person is wearing or doing. So that way you don't have to memorize anything. It's just observational.
And does that then lead to, hi, I'm Nick, you are?
Yes, you could say, I haven't met you yet. My name is Nick and you are, and
Yeah.
then that'll kick it off. But yeah, usually I'll say something about, as soon as I go in, usually I go to the food, go straight to the food, and then that gives you something to do with your hands, because now you're holding food and drink, or a pen, and your food. So, and then you can comment about the food while you're at the food, or if you walk away from the food, you can walk up to someone and say, have you tried these cookies? These are, I'm working on my dad bod, and so I got extra cookies here.
Right. We call it a protective coating for my rock hard abs.
Yes.
Coating. Other thing that scares us introverts, as you well know, is I get into a conversation with somebody that is clearly the wrong conversation.
Yes.
And I cannot extricate myself. I cannot get out of this thing, and I really need to get out. Do you have any strategies to get me the hell out of this?
Absolutely. That's a really good question. This happens to everybody. So I always say you want to be talking in groups of three. You're always searching for a group of three. So when I said hunting introverts, you're going to find that one person, start talking with them. But as you're talking with them, as people are walking by, someone's going to not be walking with purpose. They're just going to be kind of moseying by, and you say, let's rescue this guy or girl, whatever. And you grab that person and you bring them into your group. So now there's a group of three. And what the beautiful thing about the group of three is, now the conversation flows really well. Everyone's participating. So if you start running out of things to say, somebody in that group of three can pipe up and carry it for a while. And then the conversation flows. If you have a group of four, usually somebody's sitting out and just watching and not participating. If it's a group of three, usually everyone's talking. And then this way, if there's three, it's easy for you to exit, because you can say, oh, I'm going to go get another cookie to, work on the dad bod again, or I'm going to go check out the bathroom, or go get a drink, or whatever. And then those other two people, they're still there talking amongst themselves, and you can go start another group of three somewhere else. But if it's just you and that one person, it's hard to say, well, I'm just going to leave you by yourself and I'm going to walk off. But if there's three people, then you can leave them, because there's still the two, and the other person can say, I can't believe he's leaving me with this guy. but it's way easier if you have that group of three.
It is way, but if it is the two of you, I don't know. I would think, don't be afraid of just ending the conversation, just saying, hey, I'm going to go grab something to eat.
Yes, you can also do that as well. And it's not hard to do. It's harder when it's just two than it is with three. But yeah, you can just say, I'll see you in a bit. I'm going to go over here.
Yeah. I want to ask about follow-up. I finally met the person of my year. Let's say somebody that can, I'm at the company party. I meet that person that can affect my career. I had a fantastic discussion with them. I clearly want to follow up.
Yes.
Is there a way for an introvert to follow up? And then are there dangerous things I shouldn't do when it comes to following up?
Ooh, I like that. Shouldn't do. Yeah. Well, let's cover the to do. Here's what I recommend, and what I do myself is, I like to, if I have their information, if I have their phone information, then I will actually record a video on my phone, so that way they can see me, they can get all the body language in there, and they can hear me. So it's not just an email. And I'll say, hey, it was great meeting you. I just want to touch base, and maybe we can meet for lunch, or get on a call and discuss this further. And it's just another thing with that follow up is, I say, anyone that you meet, what I do is quarterly, every 3 months, I go through all my contacts on my phone and my email, and I make a list of who I should have talked to in the last 3 months that I didn't.
Oh,
and
that's
then,
big. That is big.
I make a video and I send it to them. So it's really easy. It takes a few seconds to just send a quick video. And then that way you're caught up, that you're top of mind with them. You say, this is what I'm up to. These are my projects I'm working on. How are you? How's the knee after the surgery? How's the new baby? How are things with you? And then they'll catch you up on there. So now you know where they are, what projects they're working on. They know what you're doing. So that way, if there's something that they can help you with, they'll say, oh, he's working on this. I happen to be, he's looking for speaking gigs, and we're looking for a speaker to do this thing. Or if you have, if they have a son that's about to go to college and you are an admissions counselor at a college or something, then you can say, oh, their son is getting ready to go to school. Maybe he wants to come here. You'll already know. So it's not like they're reaching out after 6 years of not
Yes.
talking to you. Hey, my son needs to go to college. Can you help him? You say, you haven't talked to me in 6 years. So
I wonder if you have an agenda.
right, right. So it's really nice to just stay top of mind. So I'd say when you first meet that person and the event's over, yeah, it's really great to send a video. If not, you can do a voice message. I did one this morning, sent out a little voice message, and because that beats the text and beats the email. If you have to do text or email, then you can, but I suggest the video and then maybe audio message to do that.
I have to tell not just you, Nick, but everybody hanging out with us that I've received those video messages and those audio messages before. And I don't like them. I've loved them every time. I love them because you can see, and a lot of times it's somebody thanking me or, you know, saying something nice. Well, it's always something nice,
Yes.
but even if it's just a contact, I always feel so grateful that they took the time to do that. And this is the first time that I've thought about two things. Number one is it really probably takes about the same amount of time as it does to fire off the text or the email.
Right.
And then second is, why the hell haven't I been doing that? Like, I like it so much. Why haven't I done that? I should totally be implementing this because it, to your point, it's so easy, but we never think about it. And it's so much more personal. It's so much more personal. Yeah.
Absolutely.
The, let's talk bigger framework. Let's get out of this holiday season. And thank you for all of that. But,
Sure.
but when introverts really think about their communication and the effectiveness of their communication, I know that's what you really focus with people on. Are there a few key points you can give us for our introverts in the audience that are really going to help them dominate?
Yeah. So a couple of things that I really like. Well, body language. So body language is huge. We hear about it all the time, and it makes a big difference in how you are perceived and how you feel as well. And so I always thought, well, what's a simple body language thing that you can do? So there's,
by the way, not to cut you off, Nick, but,
sure.
but I saw a number that I think that 92% of all communication, you may know this, of all communications, like nonverbal cues. So body language will be a huge part of that. Like, we worry about what we say, but we don't realize about how we come across.
Right. And so it's a massive thing. And it, once again, how people are looking at you and then how you feel, because when you change your body language, it also changes how you feel as well and how you conduct yourself. And so two easy things that people can do is when you walk into an event, or if you're just walking down the hall in your apartment building or something, I say, do the cape walk. You walk like you're wearing a cape, and that you want that cape to drape properly and have a good flow. And that way, your shoulders are going to be back. You're going to have a nice stride. You can't walk all weird and crazy with a cape. You walk really nicely, men and women. If you just imagine, and I just say to myself, cape walk, and so it's because a lot of times if I'm walking down the hallway, let's say there's one other person walking down the hallway toward me, I always get clumsy all of a sudden. So I have to say cape walk and then do my cape walk. And also when you walk into a place, I've seen other people do it too. And you say, who's that? Because it makes a huge difference when you see someone walk in like that versus just kind of slink in the place.
Yeah. So, confidence, boy. And it's funny, people not watching us on YouTube. If you're not watching it on YouTube, I got to tell you this, Nick did it, but even as he's explaining it, I started doing it. Like I totally started thinking about the fact that I'm slumping.
Yes. And that makes a huge difference in how, people perceive you when you walk in anywhere, or if you're walking down the hall or walking down the street. And then the other thing is if you're sitting down somewhere, I call it Duke cookie face. This is my move. And this is how it came about. I was at a function one time and I didn't know anyone there. And I said, I was there with a woman I was dating at the time, and I said, all these people know her. They're going to be seeing who did she bring, and they're going to be judging me, right? And they're going to be looking, and I don't know who's watching me when, what they're thinking. So how do I give the best impression? So it's I said, okay, for sitting, imagine a nobleman, right? A noble person. So I was like, okay, a duke or a duchess. And I said, how would a duke sit? And then so it's not stiff, but it's, it's good posture, but it's relaxed because you don't have the responsibilities of a king, but you're a noble. So you're just kind of sitting there, good posture, relaxed. And then for the facial thing, I said, okay, if I was walking into my best friend's house and I open the door and I'm hit with the aroma of fresh baked cookies, I love cookies. I know I'm going to be offered cookies soon. And so I'm not going to be grinning like a crazy person, but I will have a nice smile like cookies are coming. Cookies are imminent. And so it's Duke cookie face or Duchess cookie face. And so if you do this, I sit like a Duke would sit. And however you imagine a Duke sitting or a Duchess sitting, you sit like that. And then the cookies, or if you don't like cookies, if you have diabetes or something, sugar-free cookies or something, pie, apple pie, or something that you like. And
insert the thing.
you
Yeah.
insert the thing, and then you have that expression, and then it gives you this glow, and people usually approach you and say, I just wanted to come over and meet you, because you're giving off this aura, and you feel really cool too when you're sitting like that, looking around, and you're much more approachable. You feel great. People perceive you as really cool. And I remember after that event, the woman I was dating's coworkers, she said, they all loved you. And I only met maybe 3 people, but everyone was kind of watching and observing me. And she said, yeah, everyone thought that you were great. I don't know what you were doing. And I said, cookies are coming. And she had no idea what I was talking about. But it works. And
Like,
so, so I just think that cookies are coming. And if you sit like that, it changes the way you feel. It's immediate. I've used this a lot. It's my #1 tip. If your listeners use it, they will see results the same day they use it. I promise.
I got my Duke or Dutchy cookie face on. I'm wearing the cape. I'm a badass, Nick.
Exactly.
Total badass. Luckily for all of us, you've also written a book on this topic. It's The Introvert's Guide to World Domination, available, I think, on Amazon, or can we get it also through your website?
Yes, you can get on my website. You can get it on Amazon and Barnes & Noble.
That's awesome. And we're going to link, by the way, to all of those on our website. And of course, at stackingbenjamins.com in the show notes and in our guide, the 201. If you want to sign up for that, it's stackingbenjamins.com/201 to get that as well. And Nick, by the way, and the website is connectedintrovert.com, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Yes. Awesome. Great. Want to make sure I nail that. Well, Nick, thank you so much, from not just from me, but from so many of us that are introverts out there. You just help us survive the holiday season, my friend. I really appreciate you and your time.
Yes, anytime. It's thanks for having me in the basement.